So after losing Gordon Hayward, I think Utah's offense is going to have some tough times this season. They were 12th in offensive rating a year ago, even with him. So with him gone, they could potentially drop to like 17th or 18th, which will make it pretty difficult for them to be a playoff team. But I also would say, given how good they're going to be defensively, I think they have a chance at the postseason regardless. But let's just talk about them. I want to start with, I guess, just the loss of Gordon Hayward. He was their best shot creator, potentially their only shot creator. I mean, Joe Johnson can do it in spurts, and Rodney Hood could also do it in spurts, I would say. But no one was going to be consistent like Hayward was. I mean, he really has developed into a ball handler who can attack defenders one-on-one and have the defense get caught in screens to where he can then, get to the mid-range area and make things happen. He's Gordon Hayward. I think if you're looking for Rodney Hood to just replicate what Hayward did, I think you're going to be kind of disappointed. I would say that Hood had a rough season because of injuries. I would hope that he's just going to be healthy and he has a better season than the one he just had. And if we're looking at his 2016 season, he shot well from like the majority of the field. He shot 45% from mid-range, about 36% from three, and he actually shot well at the basket as well at 60%. So I do think he can be a valuable offensive dude. I just fear that, one, he might not get to the free throw line that much. He's only shot at the most about 2.5 free throws a game, which isn't that much. He also attempts more mid-range jumpers than he does shots at the rim, which, I mean, you can make that work, but it's also just a little more difficult than just drawing contact and getting to the free throw line. But given his thin frame, that might be his only option. Whatever, I have some fears, but I also think he can be a decent scorer. Do I think he's going to hit like 17 or 18 points a game this year? I would say that's about the high end of what to expect. I think if he can be a 16 to 18 point scorer and at least be somewhat efficient, I think that's about all you can ask for from him. Still not Gordon Hayward, but it's something. Whether Hood's playmaking can go to another level, that's another question entirely. I imagine he will be used more than he ever was before, so we're going to find out if he can do it. Joe Engels, I assume, is going to be the starting small forward for these guys. I mean, Engels is cool. He's not going to kill you with production, but he'll put up, 9, 10 points a game, about 3 or 4 assists, 3 or 4 rebounds, be a solid enough defensive player, be an awesome three-point shooter. He's just going to be a lower usage kind of guy. I think he's destined to really be a sixth man in the NBA, but given that they just don't have too many small forwards, it's probably going to be him starting. And for what it's worth, I mean, Rodney Hood and Engels together, that's some decent enough spacing. Hood's been a good three-point shooter all 3 years he's been in the league. Joe Engels was really good from three last season for Utah, so that'll help him out, definitely. I guess we can get to Rudy Gobert now. I'm intrigued by where Rudy's offense is going to go, because the last about month and a half of the season, he averaged around 16, 17 points a game through pick and rolls, alley-oops, offensive rebounds, just dump-off passes, and he had some post-ups as well. Now, I don't know if he's going to be a guy who you just give the ball to on the low block consistently, but if he can do it at least like on switches and occasionally on other big guys, then I think that's good. Do I think he's going to lead them in scoring? I think he and Rodney Hood are going to be like neck and neck on that one. And then, of course, defensively, Gobert is who he is. Now we got to talk about Ricky Rubio. I mean, the dude can't shoot is the biggest thing. So, in one sense, yeah, I think he could be a good creator for pretty much everyone on this Utah team. I think he can help out Rodney Hood because he's a better ball handler than Hood is. He'll get some good passes to Joe Engels when Engels is coming across screens. I'm sure he'll be an alley-oop guy for Derek Favors as well as Rudy Gobert. But the jumper is still what it is, and I think whenever Utah is running anything that's not through Ricky Rubio, yeah, there's going to be some problems. You pretty much sign up for that with him. But at the same time, I think they are going to give him the ball quite a bit. And when Rubio has the ball in his hands and he's actually the one creating for everyone else, I think he overall is a positive player because he's good defensively and at least he kind of gets to the free throw line. He shoots around 4 a game. Weirdly enough, he's awesome on free throws. He shot 89% this year on free throws, but he can't shoot from the field. I don't know what to tell you. There are definitely other guys I would rather have as my point guard, but I can see where Rubio at least doesn't make you worse. I mentioned Derek Favors. Let's definitely talk about him. I don't know what to expect. If the dude's healthy, then I'm pretty confident these guys are going to be the best defensive team in the NBA. Or at least top 3. They were number 3 this previous year. Because the thing with Favors is he's really good at defending outside of the paint. So you have him defending quicker power forwards and switching on to different positions, and then you have Rudy Gobert and what he can do. That'd be damn difficult to score on for pretty much every single NBA team. Then Rubio's a good defender as well. Rodney Hood, he doesn't hurt you on defense, and then Engels is good on defense as well, so I expect these guys to just be an awesome defensive team. One thing I will say, they're going to have to speed up the pace. Last season, they were slow as hell, even with being an awesome defensive team. This season, they're not going to be able to afford to do that. They don't have a creator like Gordon Hayward anymore. They're going to have to take advantage of when they force a miss or Rudy Gobert blocks a shot or whatever to actually run down floor and get themselves some easy baskets. And I think Ricky Rubio will help with that. If we go to the second unit, I love the addition of Thabo Sefolosha, just another guy who can be a defender for you. I mean, he's still a really solid defensive player, even if he's a little up there in age. Now, if you have him and Ricky Rubio on the floor together, you could have some spacing issues, but Quinn Snyder's a good coach, and I'm sure he can figure out his rotations and the way to use guys, and I think they'll be okay. Another interesting one is Ekpe Udoh, who some people have been saying that he's, like, transformed into this awesome, like, switchy defensive big man. We'll have to see if that's actually true or not. He was doing that overseas. If he can translate that to the NBA, then they could just have themselves an awesome assortment of defensive players pretty much everywhere on the floor. There's also the rookie Donovan Mitchell. I don't really know how many minutes he's going to play day one because, I mean, I've pretty much always said this. Rookies very rarely actually make your team better. And he's got some NBA players in front of him with Sefolosha, Engels, Rodney Hood on the wings, so we're going to have to see with him. But I want to talk about Derek Favors and Rudy Gobert specifically from an offensive standpoint. Favors next to Gobert can cause spacing issues. Favors has shown life as a mid-range shooter in the past, but he's never really gone to another level. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think they did some interesting things last season with these two playing together. I think sometimes they would actually have Favors screen for Gobert. So like Gobert would start on the baseline, Favors would set a screen, and then Rudy would like come across the paint. And I think it was actually somewhat successful, so maybe they could try things like that, but I mean, look, if Favors isn't completely healthy and his defense isn't what it is and he's causing spacing issues, then I could definitely see him being traded, or maybe they would just let him go in free agency, I don't know. But if he's healthy, then I think what he'll give you defensively is so good that maybe you just kind of try to figure it out on offense. They could definitely use a floor spacer at the power forward position. I don't think they have one on the roster currently. If they could find themselves a stretch four to play next to Rudy at times, I think that could be awesome for them. But overall, I like Utah. I think they will be a playoff team, if anything, just because they're going to be so damn good defensively, and I think they're going to be good enough on the offensive side of the floor. And actually, before I finish this, they did sign Jonas Jerebko. He could be the stretch four for them. I also need to mention Dante Exum. I don't know what the hell is going to happen with him. He's at least a player. If he's actually back from injury, if he's actually athletic enough to be something, then awesome, but my expectations for him are not super high at this point.